Hello, I'm Karen Romano Young, back with another chapter of A Girl, a Raccoon, and the Midnight Moon by me, Karen Romano Young, with pictures by Jessixa Bagley and published by Chronicle Kids Books this year, 2020. Chapter 11, The Invader, September 9th. At 3:17 a.m. Saturday morning, Mom's phone rang. Then, "Someone's broken into the library," she told Pearl, whispering her awake. "The police are on their way. Bruce wants us to meet them at the library. He'll be there too." Police cars were pulled up right on the sidewalk in front of the building and squeezing into the tiny alley, their lights flashing against the windows. The library's alarm system was buzzing in the misty, humid city night. The police, two of the ones who had come about Vincent's head, plus two more, were at the front doors, shining big flashlights through the heavy glass. If someone had broken in, why weren't they in? And what had been stolen this time? "Is it Vincent again?" yelled Pearl, running up the sidewalk. "Maybe the founders' portraits or the clock?" Mom took the front steps in 2 leaps. The police stepped back so she could open the door with her keys, but they wouldn't let her or Pearl in until they'd gone in first to check things out. You could see their flashlights shooting light up the stairs to the floors above. After a while, they returned to the first floor and opened the door for Mom, shrugging. "False alarm, maybe," Pearl heard the policeman with the mustache say as he finally let them in. Mom flung open the door. Pearl tore into the back hall, flipped on the back hall light, and saw through the window. No change to Vincent. When she came back, the blue uniforms were all clustered around the circulation desk. "Maybe a raccoon set off the security system," said the puffy pink policeman. As if a raccoon would do that, either accidentally or on purpose. Pearl walked back outside. It was the deep, dark middle of the night. She didn't dare go farther than the front sidewalk. Over Gully's storefront, Francine's shades were drawn and the windows were dark. Pearl stopped and turned back toward the library. In the window at the dimmest corner of the reference room, she saw something. A face. Salt and pepper hair, gray shirt, and a face the color of last week's newspaper. Eyes that had never looked so lonely and lost. "Mr. Nichols!" Pearl waved at him wildly and ran back inside. A small swarm of police officers had already surrounded him, flashlights flaring, pulling him into the light of the circ area. "Some old drunk," a policewoman bawled over her shoulder to Mom. "He's not drunk. Leave him alone. He was just sleeping. Get your hands off him." Pearl stood squarely in front of them, blocking their way. "What is he then if he's not drunk? Lost? Misguided? Typical." "Not typical of him." "Pearl, I'm all right." Nichols looked dazed, but he stood straight, trying to get her to simmer down. "You know him?" said the red-haired officer. "It's all right. We know him." Pearl had never been so proud of her mother. Mom took Nichols firmly by the arm as if to say she'd be in charge of him, although Pearl knew there was no taking charge of Nichols. He might move slowly, but he went where he wanted. The cop said something about breaking and entering, but Mom cut him off. "The library won't be pressing charges. This is a city establishment, miss." Miss seemed to be emphasized. "It is the library," said Mom, "and I am the librarian." The policewoman shook her finger. "Well, if the city decides to press charges." Mom shook her own finger right back. "Oh, I'd love to see the city get involved with the library," she said fiercely. "Maybe we should make a report to the mayor." A sidebar about exclamation points. And I'm going to have to read to you exclamation points in order to make this point. It's my opinion that you just about never need to use an exclamation point. Basically, if your writing doesn't make it clear that something is a big deal, then the exclamation point is not going to fix that. And yet, exclamation point. It's not just words that make something a big deal. Even more important is something called inflection, the way something is said. That's what an exclamation is good for, adding emotion that is different from what's already in the words. Compare, for example, "He's not drunk, period. Leave him alone, period." Sounds kind of lazy, doesn't it? He's not drunk! Exclamation point. Leave him alone! Exclamation point. That's much more urgent, the way Pearl was when she said it. By M.A.M. Mom led the police away, distracting them from Mr. Nichols by asking their opinion about the situation of crime in the neighborhood. Was there more breaking and entering lately? Were there more robberies? Should the city update the library's antique security system, in their opinion? Would they put it in a report? Nichols and Pearl were left at the dusky circulation desk. I fell asleep, Nichols told her, in the chair behind the atlas where we always sit. When I woke up, it was dark. He held his forehead in his hands, rubbing. I tried to find my way out, but the doors were locked on the inside. Then I must have tripped the alarm somehow. All of a sudden, there was a light in my face, sirens, yelling, noise. He covered his ears with his hands and closed his eyes as if he was so embarrassed he wanted to shut her out. I'm sorry. Pearl pulled his hands down from his ears. She absolutely hated how scared he looked. It was Bruce's fault for locking you in, she said. No, said Nichols, shaking his head, trying to gather himself together. It's okay, Mr. Nichols, Pearl told him. Don't worry, she added. Bruce, finally he was here, elbowed his way through a small crowd of neighbors that had gathered on the street toward Mom and the cops. I'm the library manager, he said. It's my fault this man was in the library. And now I'm on my way, Nichols said, his voice still quavering. He turned and made a little bow. Thank you, Pearl. Thank you, Mrs. Moran. He hoisted his backpack over his shoulder and walked off into the dark. At least he hadn't been arrested. But the night wasn't over. Gully came tearing across the street, his hair messed up from sleep, having maybe slept in his clothes. He seemed to wish he could run two ways, toward the cops and after Nichols. He flung his arms in each direction, demanding, You're not going to just turn a man like that loose in the neighborhood at this time of night, are you? None of the police moved a muscle. Bruce put an arm around Gully's shoulders. No harm's been done, he said. No harm? Lights and bells in the middle of the night? This area didn't used to welcome. What? Said Bruce. Gully shut up a second, then changed tack. Anyway, I think the papers should know about this. Mr. Gulliver, Mom said through her teeth, I think we should all go back to bed. Gully went. Pearl slumped down onto the front steps, her cheek against the iron railing, bone-tired. The police took their time writing up their report as if the library was some huge crime scene instead of just a place where one man neglected to wake up and another forgot to check a dark corner. Pearl's head dropped onto her chest for just 1 minute. 2 minutes, a half hour. Then Mom's hand was on her shoulder. Come on, Pearl girl, let's go home. Pearl sleepwalked her way home between Mom and Bruce. She staggered to her chair bed, kicked off her flip-flops, and rolled in. She stayed dimly awake for at least 3 minutes, long enough to notice that the sky was already getting a little bit light. It was long enough to notice that Bruce was still here in the apartment, in the kitchen talking to Mom, each of them calming the other one down after the scare. It was long enough to notice that they were laughing the way they used to, when they used to talk about something else besides the library. Thank you. See you tomorrow.